What you were taught about Jesus was the sanitized version. The original was burned, and there is one specific teaching, recorded in texts that survived destruction only by being buried in the Egyptian desert for 16 centuries, that the early church declared so dangerous it had to be erased from history. I will reveal exactly what that teaching was before this video ends. This video didn't appear in your feed by accident. Stay to the final minute. You were meant to hear this. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to take you deep into the Gospel of Philip, the Pistis Sophia, and the Nag Hammadi texts they tried to burn, to show you what Jesus actually taught about the soul, the cosmos, and the escape route that has been hidden from you for 2,000 years. In 1945, a farmer named Muhammad Ali al-Salman was digging in the Egyptian desert near Nag Hammadi when his shovel struck a sealed ceramic jar. Inside were 13 leather-bound volumes, preserved for 16 centuries under the sand. He almost burned them. His mother used several pages as kindling before scholars intervened. What he nearly destroyed were the Gnostic Gospels, texts buried around 390 AD. When the church began systematically destroying any scripture that contradicted its official story, these were not fringe writings. They included the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Truth, and the Pistis Sophia. Some claiming direct connection to the earliest followers of Jesus, traditions that existed before any council decided which texts were authentic. The Pistis Sophia alone describes Jesus teaching his disciples for 11 years after the resurrection, conveying things that never made it into the Bible, we know. What were they teaching that was so threatening? The answer involves a cosmos that is a prison, a creator who is not the true God, and a soul that has forgotten what it really is. And the next revelation, the one about who that creator actually was, is where everything begins to break open. Stop and think about this for a second. What if the God who created this world, the one responsible for matter, flesh, suffering, and death, was not the true God at all? This is the central revelation of Gnostic Christianity. In the Gospel of Philip and the Pistis Sophia, the material cosmos was not created by the supreme divine force. It was created by a being the Gnostics called the demiurge, from the Greek word for craftsman. The demiurge was not evil in a theatrical sense. He was ignorant. He genuinely believed he was the highest power, blind to the greater divine reality above him. The Gospel of Philip states it directly. The world came into being through a mistake, not a divine plan, a mistake made by a lesser being who did not know what he did not know. In the Apocryphon of John, another Nag Hammadi text, the demiurge declares, "I am a jealous God, and there is no other God besides me." The Gnostics read this not as divine confidence, but as a confession of ignorance. A truly supreme being would never need to announce its supremacy. If the hidden truth of what Jesus actually taught is opening something in you, hit like and subscribe to unlock more hidden wisdom from the vault. Because what comes next makes this look like a prologue, and it changes everything about how you understand your own existence. Now what I'm about to tell you sounds impossible, but it is preserved in texts that scholars believe may predate significant portions of the New Testament. According to Gnostic cosmology, the human soul is a divine spark, a fragment of true light, that became trapped inside the material world, not by accident, by design. The word Sophia means wisdom in Greek. In the Pistis Sophia, she is a divine being who fell from the realm of pure light into the realm of matter, and could not find her way back. Her story became the template for every human soul. Your consciousness, your inner sense of self, your awareness, is a divine prisoner who has forgotten where it came from. The material world is engineered to keep you distracted. Pleasure, pain, ambition, fear, love, loss, all of it occupies the soul enough that it never stops to remember what it actually is. The Gospel of Thomas records Jesus saying, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." This is not a call to faith. This is a survival instruction for a trapped divine being. And the next segment reveals who built this prison and who guards the exit. If you thought that was disturbing, you are not ready for this. The Gnostic texts describe a hierarchy of beings called archons, from the Greek for rulers or authorities, who serve the demiurge and maintain the cosmic prison. In the Apocryphon of John, they are created by the demiurge to govern the various layers of the material cosmos. Each layer has its own ruler whose sole purpose is to prevent the soul from ascending back to the realm of pure light. Here is what makes this deeply strange. The Gnostics identified these archons with figures from the Hebrew Bible. not as gods to worship, but as planetary intelligences who keep souls cycling through matter, lifetime after lifetime. The concept maps onto reincarnation, but with a far darker explanation. You don't return to a new life by natural law. You return because you have not yet found the way out. Not faith, but knowledge. Now forget everything you think you know about salvation for a moment, because in these burned Gospels, Jesus doesn't offer liberation through belief or ritual. He offers a map. A specific map for
Here's what
navigating
nobody
past
tells
every
you about
gate
the
historical
historical
Jesus
guard.
debate. And the next
Scholars
segment
compare
reveals
the
what
Gnostic
that
Gospels
map
to the
required of
canonical
anyone.
text.
They
They
find
find
something
something
that cannot be easily dismissed.
Because the answer is
Many
more
Gnostic
demanding
sayings
and
appear
more
older,
liberating
rower, and
than
far less
anything the church ever
institutionalized than what
taught.
the church approved centuries later. The Gospel of Thomas opens with these words. These are the hidden sayings that the living Jesus spoke, not the teachings, the hidden sayings throughout these texts. Jesus emphasizes one concept above all others, gnosis, the Greek word for direct, experiential knowledge, not belief in doctrine, not ritual performed by priests. Gnosis, direct, personal, inner knowledge of what you truly are. In the Gospel of Philip, Jesus says that whoever achieves gnosis will not taste death. In the Gospel of Truth, humanity's fall is described as ignorance, and salvation is described as knowledge of the Father. Self-knowledge is liberation. This is a radical departure from what Christianity became. The church built itself on faith, obedience, and institutional authority. These burned texts built everything on self-knowledge and direct experience. You can begin to understand why the institution found this so threatening. But the full danger, the reason they burned every copy they could find, goes far deeper. And what I'm about to show you next will shake the foundations of what you thought you knew. Now what I'm about to share is from a text the church wanted you to never read. The Gospel of Philip, found at Nag Hammadi in 1945, is one of the most astonishing documents in the history of religion. Written not as narrative but as a series of mystical meditations, it records Jesus' teaching that there are two kinds of people, those who are asleep in the world, trapped in the illusion of matter, and those who are awake, who have begun to remember their divine origin. Philip writes, "The one who has knowledge of the truth is free, but the free person does not sin, for the one who sins is the slave of sin. Truth sets free. Knowledge produces children, and it also gives them roots." The freedom Philip describes is not moral freedom, it is cosmic freedom, liberation from the trap itself. Philip also records something the church found profoundly uncomfortable. He describes Mary Magdalene as Jesus' closest companion, the one he loved above all other disciples, the one he kissed often. But the deeper scandal was not romantic. The deeper scandal was that a woman held the highest gnosis of all. She understood Jesus' inner teachings more completely than any of the 12 apostles. And what comes next, the Pistis Sophia, reveals exactly what knowledge she held and where it ultimately leads. Here's where the story takes a dark turn, and a profound one. The Pistis Sophia is among the most complex and ambitious texts in all of Gnostic literature. Its name means faith wisdom, and it claims to record conversations between Jesus and his disciples, especially Mary Magdalene, during 11 years of teaching after the resurrection. What Jesus describes here is a complete cosmological system. The soul, he explains, descends from the realm of divine light through multiple layers of reality, each governed by archons, and arrives in a body having forgotten everything it once knew. The trap described in the Pistis Sophia is not metaphorical. It is presented as a literal mechanism. After death, the soul is not simply released. It is processed by the archons, stripped of its memories, and returned to another body. Not by natural law, not by karma, by design, by control. But the text is ultimately a story of liberation. Pistis Sophia herself eventually finds her way out. Through 13 repentances, she calls out to the true God, not the demiurge who imprisoned her. She recognizes the trap, she names it, and she is rescued by the divine principle of gnosis itself. Her story is the template for every human soul's potential journey. I have faith in you, O light, that you will save me from the emanations of self-willed. The cosmos is a trap, but awareness of it is already the key to the exit. And the most urgent question now is, why was knowing this punishable by death? Keep watching. Let me pause here because this next part changes the entire picture. If the Gnostic cosmology is correct, even purely as metaphor, then salvation is not about dying inside the right institution. It is about waking up inside this life. The escape route that Jesus taught according to these texts rests on 3 core pillars. 1. Gnosis, direct personal knowledge of your divine nature. 2. Recognition, seeing clearly through the illusions of the material world. 3. Ascent, retracing the soul's descent through inner transformation. The early Gnostic communities practiced specific rituals designed to begin the process of awakening while still in the body. The most mysterious was called the bridal chamber, described in the Gospel of Philip. This was not a wedding ceremony, it was a reunification of the divine spark within the individual with its heavenly counterpart, an inner marriage between your human self and your divine origin. The mysteries of truth are revealed, though in type and image. The bridal chamber, however, remains hidden. It is the Holy of Holies. What this describes is a Jesus who was not offering belief as salvation. He was offering a practice, a method of inner transformation accessible to anyone who undertook it fully. Not a creed to recite, but a work to be done inside yourself. But why was this path so threatening that it had to be permanently erased? The answer, the one I promised at the very beginning, is in the next segment, and it will change how you see 2,000 years of history. Now I need to tell you the thing I promised at the very beginning, the specific teaching so dangerous that the Church ordered every copy destroyed. By the 4th century AD, Christianity had become the official religion of the Roman Empire. For this marriage of power and religion to function, the Church needed one very specific kind of Jesus, one whose authority flowed through priests, bishops, and popes, one whose salvation required the institution as the indispensable intermediary between the human soul and God. The Gnostic Jesus destroyed that entire framework, not because he was false, but because he made the institution completely unnecessary. A Jesus who teaches liberation through inner self-knowledge doesn't need a bishop to validate your divine nature. You don't need a council to grant you access to gnosis. You only need to wake up to what you already are. This was the forbidden, burned teaching. You are enough. The divine spark is already inside you. Liberation comes not through external authority, but through the terrifying, magnificent, revolutionary work of knowing yourself completely. In 367 AD, Bishop Athanasius of Alexandria issued the first canonical list of approved scriptures. The first time in history, a single authority declared which books were divine and which were to be destroyed. Every other text was ordered burned. This is why the Nag Hammadi jar was buried. A monk chose truth over obedience and hid these books in the desert so that you, 16 centuries later, could read them. The most dangerous idea in any age is that you do not need permission to be free. Which truth hit you the hardest in this video? Comment Gnosis if you believe liberation runs through self-knowledge, or comment Faith if you think something sacred was lost when they burned these texts. I want to hear from you, and if this revelation shook something loose in you, share this with as many people as you possibly can. This truth has been buried for 1600 years. It's time for it to reach the world. But what does any of this mean for you, right now in your actual life? Whether you read the Gnostic texts as literal history, as metaphorical cosmology, or as pure psychological math, the pattern they describe is one most people quietly recognize. The feeling of being trapped in a life that doesn't feel like your real life. The sense that there is something more to you than what the world around you reflects back. The quiet suspicion that the reality you have been handed is not the whole story. Carl Jung, who studied Gnostic texts extensively, saw in them a precise map of the human unconscious. The demiurge is the ego. The part of the mind that believes it is the whole self. The divine spark is the deeper self. The reality the ego cannot perceive. The path of gnosis as individuation. The lifelong process of becoming who you truly are beneath the conditioning. As Jung wrote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Whatever burned those gospels could not burn the insight they carried. Because the insight lives in you, it always has. The ancient Gnostics believed that knowing yourself, truly, completely, was the greatest act of rebellion against any system built to keep you asleep, and you have already begun. The moment you asked why, the moment you pressed play, the awakening started. 2,000 years ago, some followers of Jesus chose to preserve a different story. Not the story of a savior who demands your faith alone, but of a teacher who demands your full awakening to the world within you, to the divine nature you carry, to the system designed to make you forget both. They buried those scrolls in the Egyptian desert because someone believed the truth was worth preserving at any cost. The trap is real, and so is the exit. Ignorance is the mother of all evil. Ignorance will result in death, because those who come from ignorance neither were nor are nor shall be. Gnosis, self-knowledge, is not arrogance, it is remembrance. It is coming home to what you have always been beneath the noise, the conditioning, and the fear. If you made it this far, prove it. Comment Sophia's fire if this video opened something in you. That is the name the Gnostics gave to the divine wisdom buried inside every soul, the spark that cannot be burned, cannot be buried, and cannot be erased. The wisdom of the ages is yours, use it well.